Tim, you're teased a lot. You have a reputation, so to speak, of being a ladies' man. I guess it's because you're single, attractive, and a celebrity. At the Miller 500 in Charlotte last October, as Bill Dollar, the announcer, introduced you, he paused a moment, and then took the microphone back. He announced to the crowd, "Hold on folks, this could take a while." You didn't just smile, wave, nod, or tip your hat to the queens on the platform. You took your time and kissed each one. It looked like you were trying to play up the playboy image you've been given. Were you?
Boy, this is a tough one. Like an actor, actress, commentator, or celebrity, the more notoriety they get, the more they have to deal with the public. When I was just sort of thrown into this sort of public life, I tended to act fast, to do everything fast, and not really take time to enjoy or even talk about what I was doing. I'm not a phony. I hate phony people, phony anything.
Do you like having this kind of image?
No, I don't.
You don't like being a sex symbol?
Well, I didn't back then. I want that image when I deserve that image. I don't deserve to have any kind of an image at all right now until I prove myself on the racetrack, and I don't think I've done that yet. I'm not satisfied in the least. It's like in 1982, I went to Daytona and missed the race. I ran the qualifying races, the 125s, but my performance in both those two categories was not good enough for me to drive in the race. Thursday evening, right after the qualifying attempt, I knew I wasn't in the race. I had to go to the mall, to some bookstore to do an autograph session. I dreaded that worse than anything because I didn't deserve the attention that I was getting from the people waiting for me to sign their books, their hats, their hands, their t-shirts, their chests, and everything else. I'm getting more comfortable with the image thing, let me tell you. I'm starting to enjoy it. I was really trying to fight it, and it made my personal life hard because the image they were putting on me, I really didn't like it. I mean, the little rich playboy. What's the definition of a playboy anyway? If I had the money and I liked the luxuries, I'd have me a limo, a Learjet, a tour bus, and all my employees would be girls. I am getting more comfortable with this image now. Instead of me making the calls trying to find a ride, I am now getting the phone calls, and that's making me a little more secure of my position and my feelings toward my image. I'm starting to inch out there.
How about the negative attention from your peers? Does it bother you when the other drivers tease you?
It did at first because that is something I have never tolerated, never liked for some reason. My upbringing has made me this way. Do not tease me, and do not make fun of me in front of people.
But they do tease you. Buck Baker once said, "I told my wife to find out who does his hair. It looks better than hers." Do comments like that upset you?
No. Maybe they used to, but they don't anymore.
Are you conscious of your appearance?
Very. Like you can't imagine. I'm worse than a girl probably, but right at this present time I'm so miserable with myself as far as appearance and everything else. That's why I'm going to Florida.
What made you decide to grow the beard?
Well, to be honest with you, I've got more chins than the San Francisco phone book, so I grew a beard to hide them. I like a real square jaw look, and I'm going to have it someday, whether by nature or by scalpel, one of the two. Getting back to this image thing, now that I'm starting to deal with it, it's like coming out of the closet in a way. I tried to hide everything that I did. Some people may not have thought that, but I was really reserved and not really enjoying have a good-looking woman on my arm. I was so conscious of trying to hide that because I'm not comfortable with it, and now I will bring them on.
Are you afraid if you get involved personally, you'll ruin your image?
Well, I've gotten two opinions on the subject from important people. One, that being married would be the best thing that could ever happen to me, and the other says, don't get married, don't ruin your image, and if you're going to get married, don't make it a big deal.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
A whole lot skinnier, I know that. In 10 years, I see myself married, 2 kids, a boy and a girl. Do you want to know their names?
Looks like you really have this planned out.
Yeah.
What about racing? 10 years from now, will you still be behind the wheel?
That depends on the success I get from here on out and the degree of it. Probably not.
I know you're interested in an acting career.
Yeah, I was getting to that.
Do you see yourself as an actor in 10 years?
In Indianapolis at 23 years old, I didn't even worry about making the race. I was young, naive, but I got lucky. Just put me in a race car. Here's Tim Richmond, add water, and instant success.
Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, lucky for me. You know, all of a sudden, you know, the TV cameras, the reporters, they all started hitting on me, and I wasn't all that nervous even then. So then I started to go to the studios and watch the interviews and the news shows. I even had my own show at Indianapolis from the track.
So you didn't have a love for acting before then?
No, none at all.
You just discovered that you had a natural ability for acting?
Not necessarily. I didn't think then that I had a natural ability for it, and I still don't know if I do. It scares me to death. I mean, it really scares me to death. Acting in a way is like being a phony. You're turning yourself into somebody else, and I really have to learn that that's not being phony. It is just an art form. Then I did the movie Stroke or Ace. During this time I thought, hey, maybe I don't want to be one. Since that time, Bert and I have become friends or acquaintances, and I've seen how he's had to live. You can't be a human being at all. There are no words to describe it. There are aliens in outer space, people on Earth, and then there are actors, the big-time actors. They can't go out on the street.
You're getting a taste of that now.
Yeah, but not to that degree. I've always hated the ones who achieve success and hidden away from the public. Now I've changed my tune. I've seen how they have to live. There are some totally unreasonable people out there. There are some people that just go overboard. For example, and this is a true story, someone called me Collect to say that she liked me, but that she liked Harry Gant better.
Someone called you Collect to say that?
Yeah, I swore I'd never have an unlisted phone number, but when I got that Collect call from Cindy, I hung up and called the phone company and got an unlisted number. So I'm starting to change a little bit, but I'm not sure I like it. As far as the acting goes, I don't know if I want to be taken out of society as much as acting could possibly take me out of society if I am a success at it.
Are you taking any formal acting training now?
No, and this winter, that's another thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to study acting, and I'm going to get an analyst.
You're going into analysis?
Yeah, I think it's good. There are a lot of things that I'd like to say and like to ask someone who knows that I can't ask anybody now.
Hypothetical situation. If someone offered you an acting job right now, a good steady job, but you had to give up your racing career, would you accept?
Well, I'd have to take a few acting classes and get some opinions from some of my friends, such as Bert, Hal, Steve Bond. If all opinions were favorable, even slightly favorable, and the opinion I had of myself was favorable, yeah, I'd quit.
So acting isn't just a dream for you, it's a goal?
I really don't know what to call it. I don't know if it's an obsession or what. I'd quit, yes. Now, I've said this before, that if and when I win the championship the first or maybe the second time, I'd quit, take a year off from racing and pursue my other interests. My goal in life is to be totally fit and happy with myself.
You're not happy with yourself now?
No.
What made you choose Lake Norman and Iredell County for your home?
I had lived in Indianapolis when I was driving Indy cars. Then when I decided that I was going to make Winston Cup racing my #1 goal in life, well, I had heard about Lake Norman. Obviously, Charlotte is the hub of the circuit. It's like when I went to college, I talked to people of joining a fraternity. Before I ever reached college, I knew I would join Sigma Nu. It's the same with Lake Norman. Earnhardt lives here. Buddy lives here. I got a realtor, and I found a very nice place. I kind of overstepped my bank boundaries a little bit, but I figured if I didn't make it down here, I'd always have something in my hand that I could get rid of very quickly.
Were you contacted about serving as Grand Marshal for the Statesville Christmas Parade?
Yes, Jeff Hammond contacted me and asked me to serve as Grand Marshal, but it was a last-minute invitation, and I already had plans. I would have enjoyed doing it otherwise.
When did you first hear that you had been named an honoree in Esquire magazine?
I don't know. It was about 2 months ago. Somebody called me and said to call Esquire. They want to do an interview with you. So I called up there, left my name and number, and I don't believe he ever got back to me. I don't recall ever doing an interview.
But you knew about it before it actually appeared in print, didn't you?
No. Well, yeah, I did. I did get a letter saying, "Congratulations, you have been chosen to be in the first annual 1984 Esquire Register." I get a lot of letters anyway. I knew what Esquire was. I didn't know how good it was. I'm not much of a reader of magazines of this type. Let's put it that way.
I remember reading several months ago that, quote, Tim Richmond looks more like he ought to be modeling for Esquire than driving a race car.
Oh, is that right? Well, I don't know about that. I guess I've been destined to be in Esquire magazine no matter what.
Is this a big honor to you, or is this just another award?
At first, to be honest with you, I didn't know how good and how prestigious, how meaningful this thing really was. I got the letter, and it really didn't tell me the other honorees. Then I got letters telling me to come to one of their cocktail parties, one in Washington, D.C., one in Los Angeles, one in Dallas, and one in New York. You know, sort of group the people together from one area. I couldn't make the one in Washington, D.C., which was my area. I happened to be in L.A. for the race, and I called them and said, "Is there one in L.A.? When is it going to happen? I'll try to get to it." It's on Wednesday, and this was Tuesday, so I said I'd see them tomorrow. Mayor Tom Bradley was there to present the awards. I started then to think, hey, this is really big time. This is serious stuff here, and I don't know how I got chosen, but here I am, and I like it.
In Esquire, you were referred to as a hero type. Do you consider yourself a hero of sorts?
Not really, because I don't see anybody else as a hero type, unless it would be my dad.
Are your parents still living in Ohio?
Yes, they have a business there. Mom lives in Florida during the winter, and Dad commutes a lot.
Will you live near your mother in Florida this winter?
In the same general vicinity. I couldn't live with my mom, though. I guess I should. It would be better financially, but I couldn't live with my mom and do the kind of program I intend to do. I think her goal in life is to make me 400 pounds. Her mom must have told her that the best way to be a good mom is to feed your kids good.
Let's talk some about your racing. In Dover, Delaware, last September, at the Delaware 500, you suffered a wreck, bad enough to scare a lot of the spectators. Were you hurt?
Yeah, it was the hardest crash I've ever had in my career.
I remember seeing the car as the wrecker towed it to the garage area, and there wasn't much left of it. The front and rear of the car were completely destroyed, but the driver area looked remarkably well, considering. It really shows how well these cars are built.
Yeah, thank God. We have people with enough engineering ability to build these cars. It wasn't the sanctioning body that made these cars that safe, that's for sure.
Who builds your cars?
Well, we use a variety of people. We use them all. We use Mike Laughlin, Banjo Matthews, and some others.
Describe for our readers your impressive racing career, from sprint cars to Indy racing.
In '77, I won the track championship at Sandusky Speedway, which in a way is a fairly major accomplishment, especially since it was my first year of racing. And for the type of cars I was driving cars a whole lot more powerful than the ones that I'm driving today.
From there, you went to the Indy 500, where you had a 9th place finish and received the Rookie of the Year award.
And the fastest lap of anybody.
You're very proud of that, aren't you?
Yeah, I really am. That's the most special thing in racing, no matter what happens from here on out.
More special even than winning the championship?
Even than winning Indy, even winning at Daytona, even winning the championship was the month of May I had in 1980 at Indianapolis. It was, without a doubt, the most special time ever.
There have been several tracks where you've broken records by turning the fastest lap. Like for example in Charlotte last October, you ran your first qualifying lap faster than anyone ever had.
Yeah, but I used myself up real quick. Anyway, it wasn't because of that. At Indy I was 24 or maybe 23, not a care in the world, having a great time. They were kind of getting on my case because I'd jump out of the car, tell them what it needed, and I'd go over to the fence and start signing autographs, saying hi to the girls, appearing to be very unprofessional. People would say, "Man, how can he do that? He ain't interested in the least about that race car." When I get in, that's my job. But when I'm out of the car, the race is over with. I just don't do anymore. That's the way that I am.
But you're serious when you're driving?
Oh yeah, more serious than anyone else. There is nobody any more serious than I am.
It's been said that you're an aggressive driver, over-aggressive to the point of being dangerous. Do you have a temper when you're driving?
I used to.
What happened in North Wilkesboro? You came around the fourth turn like you were preparing to go into the pits, and you ended in a spin with the rear of your car up on the barrier tires at the entrance to pit row. As you came down off the tires, you looked to be driving wildly. You fishtailed the rear of your car and practically ran over someone else's pit crew. Were you mad then?
No, I wasn't mad. I was competitive. I wasn't mad. I got fined $1,000. The appeal has not come up yet, or maybe they've dropped it, because they know me and they know what I would have done had they upheld the ruling. A driver by the name of Trevor Boyes, number 48. See, I knew I was coming into the pits that lap up out of turn 2. I started waving my hand as frantically as I could, went into turn 3, still driving with one hand with him behind me, about 10 to 15 car lengths, still waving and slowing down to come into the pits. At the very last second, I grabbed the wheel to turn it in. I was on my way into the pits when he came by and just nipped me, spun me around and put me into the tire. We had just went down a lap on the racetrack, figuring we could come in, get 4 new tires, go down another lap, come back out and hopefully make up our 1 lap with the new tires. Then when they came into the pit, we could make up some time and with a caution and maybe win the race. But he hits me, backs me up into the tire, and not mad at all, and not knowing where his pits were, I laid the leather to it.
That was Trevor Boyes' pit crew?
Yeah, I guess it was. I wasn't aware of it at the time. Obviously it was, or it was close. I mean, when a 3,700-pound animal comes around with 600 horsepower, I was trying to get to my pits and I had to get down there. I'm here to win. I'm not here to try to find somebody to run over. Unfortunately, and I feel bad about it, I came very close to running over somebody. But that's tough. It's tough for them and very tough for the racetrack and for NASCAR. There's no pit apron. To get off of the track, you have to come from the racing groove to the pits. There's no two ways about it. I never left pit road. There's no pit wall. What really made me mad, what really hurt me, was that people actually thought that when I was coming around there that I was trying to run over someone. I'm a professional. I'm competitive, maybe a too competitive professional race car driver for a lot of people's taste. But that's tough.
You don't consider yourself hot-tempered?
Like I said, I used to be. If someone would give me a hard time on the racetrack, look out, Jack, because here I come, and I'm going to give you a hard time.
In 1983, you finished 10th in the point standings. This year you finished 12th. Are you disappointed?
Yes.
So you don't feel that 1984 was a successful season?
No, it is the worst season I've had in my entire racing career.
Will you still be driving the old Milwaukee Pontiac number 27 and remain with Raymond Beadle's team next year?
Yes.
There are 15 different NASCAR tracks. Which one do you enjoy most?
Darlington.
Do you prefer the superspeedways to short track racing?
Not necessarily Daytona or Talladega. I guess I like a driver's racetrack. I like the ones where the driver actually makes the difference. I like the tougher tracks, obviously. That's why Darlington is my favorite.
You won one race this season, the Northwestern Bank 400 at North Wilkesboro Speedway. This was earlier in the season. Did you feel then that you were in for a successful season?
Yes, I tend to pull a drape over the bad and make myself see only the good, which I think you have to do. I mean, if my morale goes down, then a lot of others' morale does too. And so I tried to keep it up and tried to go for it the whole year, really.
Now that the 1984 season is over, what are your expectations for 1985?
The National Championship, Winston Cup Division, what else?